Hello readers, this is Greg, the Short Reads Guy, Read. Here I am at the Reedy World headquarters. But today, I've actually moved into a good friend of mine, a guy you probably know, maybe you don't know. In fact, millions of you won't know him. But his name is C.T. Mitchell. I'm just going to introduce him right now. Just give me one moment. C.T., are you there, mate? Come on in. Yeah, Reedy, I'm here, mate. Thanks for inviting me in. Well, you know, you are in my studio, you are at the Wood Duck Media, so I suppose it's only fair that I get on here. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm C.T. Mitchell. I'm an Australian crime author. Now, for me, I think I'm pretty famous, in my own lunchtime at least. And there's millions of you who don't know me, so don't feel bad. You know, you're not alone. There's lots of you out there who don't know who I am. But that's okay. Hopefully, as we do these little interviews with my good mate, Greg, the Short Reads Guy, Read, we're going to get to know each other a lot better. So today, we're going to start off a new show called The Book Probe. I'm going to hand back to my old mate, Reedy. He's going to put together the rest of the show, and I'll put in some comments. You hang on in there. Talk soon. Thanks, Reedy. Well, CT, you are, mate, really a legend, but I understand where you're coming from. Today, like you just said, we're going to actually launch a brand new show. It's called The Book Probe. And as you can see, we don't have a lot of props here. We're sitting inside the Wood Duck Media den. We can't even afford to get some decent people in on the telecast. I've got to go and be, it looks very much like me. But Australians, we're very, very similar in how we look, very, very similar in how we actually talk. So if you're sitting there and you're a little bit perplexed and you're wondering, isn't this the same guy? Don't worry about it, because today, this is what the Book Probe is all about. Now, the Book Probe is something new. If you have come here because you're a reader and you are looking for those literary masterpieces, those real little gems, the things that are going to probe down inside a book and give you the insights of what's going on, you're going to be really disappointed, because that's what the show's not about. The show is all about us probing in, looking at the world of literature in and around some books. And we're going to be talking about certain books, but probably not in that real, you know, the literary kind of way that you may be used to out there in the book world. So, we are wanting to explore today's book, and it's the latest one from our good mate, James Patterson. It's called, let me just bring it up here, because I only just picked it up this morning. Yep, The President is Missing. James Patterson's teamed up with his good mate, Bill Clinton. Now, I've got to say, and I've got to admit straight up, I bought this from a department store. And I know that's not good for the independent booksellers out there trying to get you know, people to come into the bookstores and buy the books. But, you know, when I speak to my old mate, C.T. Mitchell, he tells me a little bit of a different story when it comes to the independents. C.T., what have you got to say about that? Well, I love independent bookstores, but at this stage, they're just not loving me. I mean, I've got a fabulous fabulous publishers over there in the UK, called Auster Macaulay. They are working their butts off to get me into various bookstores, particularly in Britain, W.H. Smith. In Australia, we've got a big chain here called Dymocks. But I've wandered around both of these bookstores and I can't find my book. So it's a silent protest in some ways that my good mate Reedy is going back there buying out of department stores. And of course he's buying the book cheaper, but you know, we'd love to support Dymocks, love to support W.H. Smith, love to support Foley's, all the other great bookstores out there. But, you know, the guy who's famous in his own lunchtime needs to get some of his books in there as well. So, without further ado, back to Reedy. Let's see what he's got to say about that James Patterson book. Good on you, CT. Yeah, now, it's true. You see, we would love to be supporting independent bookstores. No question about it. because they are the backbone of suburban bookstores, aren't they? They are the communicator, the connector of society. People can go there, they can bring in their little babies, they can scream and go on, they can get a lovely little coffee, a beautiful little cake, sit around there, you know, cross-legged and look intelligent. And so the independent bookstore is very, very important. And Dymocks, we want to support you, and WH Smith, we want to support you. But, you know, what we've found is that we can go into the department stores and they're big open things and we can easily see a book. You know, they're bright, they're lit up, and that's the other problem. We're thinking to ourselves, the independent, he's got to have the lights constantly on. Now, you can even see here at the Wood Duck Media Studios, it's a little bit dark, you know, and so the lighting's not quite right here either. Imagine in an independent bookstore, there's got to be lights on there all the time, shining in on little author books. And what if you're not a James Patterson? What if you're just some little author, like my good friend over here, C.T. Mitchell? You're going to have a shelf with like lights beaming down, like, you know, little bulb lights or something. Strobes! Strobes! We could see the comeback of the strobe light. Come on, I know. You remember the disco era? You were able to get out there and see the strobes and do your John Travolta move. Well, we could have the same for a book. Imagine that. Somebody like C.T. Mitchell with the strobe going above it. Wouldn't that attract a crowd? Yeah, maybe, maybe not. But anyway, I digress. I want to support you, but I hate to go, as I said, to Big W, pay a lot less, $16 for that book in Australia, and get it. So let's get back to the book. That's what we're here for. We're not here to talk about how unduly C.T. Mitchell's getting done out there in the marketplace. No. This is called the Book Probe. And that's what we're doing here. So today, we're back to Billy Clinton and James Patterson. First up, I've got to say, James Patterson. When was the last time, CT, you called the guy James Patterson? Well, I can't remember, really. I just don't remember the last time I called him James Patterson. You know, I was at a book launch with this James Patterson guy, and I got to meet his account manager from Penguin Random House in the UK. And he said to me, Jim is a really great client of ours. Ever since that day, I've dropped the word James straight out of my vocabulary, and I've started to call Mr. Patterson Jim, Jimmy. Because if an account manager from Penguin Random House in the UK calls him Jim, surely everyone else in the world can. So here I was at the luncheon, 2015 it was, only a few years ago now. I was there enjoying my duck a la orange, my nice steamed broccoli. Oh, it was absolutely magnificent. Washing it down with a nice crisp Chardonnay. And it was myself and, I don't know, 240 other people there. Really quite an intimate little affair. And Jim told us all about his book writing experience and how he was giving away books and, you know, how he was, you know, improving the literary world and all that kind of stuff. I even got to ask him a question myself. It was a fabulous lunch. At the end, I went up, got a book, obviously got it signed by old mate Jim. You know, he kind of didn't recognise me at the time, but we've kind of, you know, tried to connect over time, but it hasn't succeeded. But it will do. But so therefore, Jim has always become the name for James Patterson now. So, Reedy, tell us more about your insights with the great man, Jim Patterson. Well, he is, as you said, CT, the biggest and the best author out there in the world. In fact, in 2015, they reckon he made 90 million bucks. It's a little bit more than what you were making, CT, but, you know, that's okay. So this is what we think a very, very strategic move on the part of a good old mate, Jim Patterson. he's hooked up with the president. I mean, what else can the man do? He's got some of the greatest series of books out there. They've been converted into TV shows. They've been put into movies. Now he's hooking up with the president. And he's hooked up with Bill Clinton, probably one of the most famous presidents we've had in recent times. In fact, I've got to say, he's more famous now than when he was the president. Yeah, the only guy who got himself impeached. Unbelievable. But do you remember the time he got himself impeached? A little bit in trouble before that. The Cuban cigar industry was going through the roof. It was unbelievable. Every Latino in America was out there becoming an entrepreneur, wanting to employ and import cigars into the United States, because the Cuban cigar had a totally new meaning thanks to the then President of the United States. But it had a detrimental effect as well. And the detrimental effect was the name Monica was almost scrubbed out of baby books. In fact, it was almost completely wiped off the English map. It was that bad. In fact, girls who were out there called Monica were going out and changing their name. It was a very, very sad time. And we saw in the literary world baby book plummeting, because some of them had the word Monica in there as one of the top favourites. And it was a real shame at the time. But I think there could be a steady climb back. I'm not quite sure if they're ever going to get back to the dizzy heights that Monica once was. But thankfully, it's starting to get a little bit of credibility back, you know. So it's been a strategic move. And I also look at the way Jim has put this thing together. He could have gone and got a lot of presents, couldn't he? I mean, he could have went and asked our good old mate George W. Bush, you know. Maybe it wouldn't have been as thick as it is here. It perhaps might have been a much thinner book, you know, because I'm not quite sure the command of George W.'s English capabilities. So that would have been all right, a short read. I mean, I think we could have handled that. Don't you agree, CT? Yep. So, but he picked, as I said, Bill Clinton. And Bill's been sort of on the quiet, hasn't he? I mean, since he came out of his presidency, let's be honest, you know, what's he going to do? Play a bit of golf. He's got his good mate Greg Norman. He goes out and knocks a few balls with every now and then. But he's joined a few charities. He's certainly raised a bit of money. He's really raised his profile. All of a sudden he's become the bad boy, you know, the bad presidents. I mean, must have been a topic going around, and some of our literary friends, some of our people like our Nora Robertsons of the world, dying to write a romance story in around a president, you know, not the alpha male or the billionaire bad boys. No, we've got the billionaire bad boy presidents now. You know, that could have become a whole brand new series too. But I don't want to give away any great ideas. My good mate CT's here. He deserves all the credibility and credit as far as putting up these new ideas. But Jimmy, he's gone out there and he's hooked up with this ex-president. And at the time it's been interesting too, because America's just gone through its presidential election, you know, a year ago, 2 years ago now. And the name Clinton is still right up there. And the conspiracy factors are continuing to come into it, aren't they? I mean, you think about it. I was watching an Ellen DeGeneres show recently, and Hillary's on there, and boy, oh boy, she's still bitter. You know, and maybe deservedly so. You know, we're Australians. We're right out of the American thing. Don't get savvy about what I'm just saying about an election thing. But Hillary was wanting to get one up on Bill, and he's still got it. He's still got the big title, you know, and it's been smart. I'm just wondering, you know, they talk about the Russians coming in there and sort of trying to persuade the American public as far as the voting went, but I'm just wondering if maybe James Patterson and Billy Clinton had something to do with it, you know what I mean? Well, I don't know. But I digress, and I'm 14 minutes into the show, and you're saying, where's this book probe, Reedy? You're a short reads guy. It should be short by now. I'm sorry. I've got carried away. Let's get back to it. This is the book. Nice, thick, typical Jimmy Patterson style, right? Here's the first thing I've observed. This is going to blow you away. The first thing I observed, it's a nice dark cover. Even with a little bit of gold, it gives it a little bit of class. Jim is a trendsetter. I said to my old mate CT about book covers. What did I say about book covers, CT? What's the golden rule for crime and mystery? Just tell me. Well, Reedy, you're right. You've always said that the thing that a mystery writer and a crime writer's got to have when they're putting up a cover, it's got to be dark. It's got to epitomise what crime and mystery is about. You can't have anything bright. It can't be, a hot pink cover. We're not writing romance. We're dark people. Look at this. Got the dark sunglasses on, so you can't even recognise who I am. So, again, our old mate Jimmy, he leads the way by putting up a nice dark cover. Now, I don't know about you, because I haven't had a chance to read the book, but there are quite a few little reviews out already. And so I'm going to ask my old mate Reedy to go through a couple of them. Let me sort of just get the feel if this is a worthwhile book and give his insights into why Jimmy is just so successful and why this book is going to be an absolute blockbuster. Just one moment. Back again, I'll tell you what, this is getting a strenuous little interview. I mean, when you're under budget, the things you've got to do. But yes, my old mate CT, he's definitely right. He's right in the fact that Jimmy is a trendsetter. Here's the other trend-setting thing he does. I'm just going to open up the inside here because I haven't even had a chance to open up. I've literally walked out of the bookstore and he doesn't even want to tell us. That's how sneaky the guy is. But I'm going to 128 chapters. How many books do you know have 128 chapters? It's because Jimmy writes a lot of chapters with a very small number of pages per chapter. Brilliant. Brilliant. Because when you're a bit of a non-reader, hey, I can be a non-reader because I'm constantly working, I don't have the time, I can't always get down to the bookstore, I can't, just run into a library. I need something short and fast in my particular case. I don't read necessarily a lot. But with Jimmy, I feel like a hero because I can get one of his books, albeit 125 chapters. Wish I didn't kind of know that now, but anyway, I do. And I know they're only a few pages, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 tops pages. And so I know that when I'm sitting home at night and I do get the chance to read, I'm going to get through the book and I'm going to get success. Now, I've looked up Amazon. It says on the Amazon charts, it's the second best book currently being read. That's incredible. Of all the books on the marketplace, Jimmy's smashing it once again. I'm sure old Billy's getting a couple of dollars out of this as well. So, I don't know about you. As I said, when I started the show off, I call this the book probe. There's no big literary masterpiece. I'm not going to give you any spoiler alerts here. That would be unfair to our old mates Jimmy and they need the dough. They want you to go and buy the book. So get out there and buy it. I tell you what, you've got to get hold of it. It looks good, feels great, small chapters, and it's absolute masterpiece. Got a final word, CT? What do you want to say? Well, I was just going to say that was the best little probe that I've been involved in. I've had a few probes in my life, and this one really takes the cake. In fact, I hope that you've got something out of it. I hope you're enthralled. I hope you're going to come back. Because the next time we're going to be reviewing another book, maybe a little bit more in depth. Maybe something we might actually even read. That'll be a shock. But it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. Back to my old mate Reedy for the final word. Have a great day. Thanks, CT. You've been absolutely brilliant. This has been our first book probe. I hope you really liked it. It's a bit of an Australian kind of take on how books really should be reviewed. And give you some more background, especially when my good mate CT actually had lunch with our old mate Jimmy Patterson. If you want to hear more about us, make sure you subscribe to our channel and you're going to see some more fabulous, insightful videos just like this one. In Australia, we would say, have a great day. Catch you around next time. Bye for now.